Hi, this is Bonnie from WalkInto. Along with me today, two of my colleagues have also joined because I need support. So Kulpreet is on Mac, Chaitanya is on Windows. So uh, the reason why they have joined is we want to demonstrate this whole process on Mac as well as Windows, since there is a desktop software component also is installed. So let me quickly outline the what the feature is and why it is important. Now, the feature is ability to use a panorama outside Google Streetview in WalkInto. So this is not something that we had a feature till yesterday, and today we have that. To achieve that, what you need to do is you need to take a rectangular panorama that you are very familiar with, and then use a software that we have developed, WalkInto Tyler, to process that image. So when you process that image, you get a set of a folder with a bunch of files. So you take this old folder and you host it on a web server so that it is available to WalkInto for importing. So nothing comes into WalkInto. Your files, your panorama, everything stays in WalkInto. So once it is hosted on the web server, on your web server, you from WalkInto you can give a reference to these files and import the panorama into WalkInto, and from that point onwards you can use that in any number of tools that you want. So once a panorama is imported, it is available within your account, and it is easy for you to use in any of the tools that you create. So there are once the process is clear to you, it is extremely simple and straightforward. So I'll be showing to you the steps that are involved in getting this whole thing done. Okay, thank you for joining me today. Now, first step is downloading the software, and as I'm going along, I will be sharing some important links on the side panel, and you can take it from there. So basically, like panohost.in. So this is going to be our single point where we'll be like displaying this feature. So I'm going to share that link. So the download is available from there. So this is on the Showcase app. I'm just going to add it to the Showcase, and you can access it anytime now or later. You can see that. So panohost.in, I have just added it to the Showcase app, and that's from where you can download it. As you can see, there are downloaders, installers available for Windows 32-bit and 64-bit, Mac, and Linux 32-bit and 64-bit. So this is enough for most of the use cases. So when you download it, what you get is a zip file. So now what I will do is I will just ask Chaitanya and Kulpreet to demonstrate what happens after you download the zip file. Where you get the zip file downloaded from Panohost, so that's your installer, and when you get it, then when you unzip it, now over to Chaitanya. Chaitanya will demonstrate it on Windows at what happens. So now this, what you see is an unzipped folder. You can see that, so there's a zip file right there, and there's a WalkInto Tyler. Chaitanya, it'll be, can you please zoom in a bit? It's too small for some. If you can, otherwise it's okay. All right, so anyway, please go ahead. So inside the unzipped folder, there are a few files. The main important thing is that on Windows, you will be looking for start.bat. Once you have start.bat ready, you can just run it. You can just basically just run it. This is the WalkInto Tyler software as it will come on Windows. Now, once it comes on Windows, you have to do a bit of configuration. This is a one-time activity, and again, we have covered it in detail in our help section, and that link I will be sharing to you right on the panel. So here on this configuration, what you have is one panorama base directory. The base directory is your preferred location where most of your panoramas stay. That that need not, that's not a hard path. Even if your panorama location changes, you can go and pick that up. So this is more like an input location. And then tile file location. So this is these are basically the output folders where you want to see the output folders coming out. It's also fairly easy and straightforward. Chaitanya, you can go ahead and make some entries for that. So you are easily setting up your input and output folders. And the next is the copyright text. Copyright text is what comes on the right corner of your panorama in standard Google Streetview, also on WalkInto. So this uniquely will identify the copyright information that you want to see on your panorama. And the next setting is max memory in MB. So sometimes the panorama needs more memory to process, and if your system has more memory, feel free to give this process more memory. By default, it uses just about half a GB of memory. You can give it more memory by adjusting this slider. All right, so now we are all good. Okay, so as far as Windows configuration is concerned, we are all good. So now what I want Kulpreet to do is, Kulpreet can just demo it, these steps, same steps on Mac also. Using, so she is starting from the zip file itself. So she is unzipping it to a new folder. So in case of a Mac, one thing that we have got a lot of feedback on is how to run a shell script, basically the .sh file. So from the launcher, and so that part, please give attention to that as to how it is done. So now Kulpreet has completed the unzipping the downloaded file, and now next she is going to run it. So she's going to go to the launch pad. And, you know, I'm not so sure what she does exactly. So yeah, so terminal. So she's bringing up the terminal. So this is from where she can run the file. So the file that she's looking for is .sh. So there are two steps that are involved. First, you have to make this file an executable. So that she's going to do just now using a command. And please give attention to that. This again is documented well in our help part, but it is important to just understand that. Chmod a+x start.sh. So she changed directly to the folder in which the files are unzipped, and on that folder she did a chmod a+x start.sh and chmod a+x jre bin/java. So now this sets up your folder well. Now we WalkInto tile is all set up, and she should be able to run it by just typing /start.sh. Okay, very good. So the configuration, rest of the configuration is pretty much the same. Panorama base directory for your input folders, and tile file location. Again, Chaitanya copied pasted from a text pad, but you can as well do it right out of your the file selection also. This works exactly the same way. All right. So you set up the input folder sets. You specify as to where your output processed folders should come out. You specify a copyright text to identify your panoramas nicely. And if you want to increase the memory allocation for this process, you get to do it here. That is it. It is very simple and very straightforward. Thank you, guys. I'll take it over from here now. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring back the control on my end, and I'm just going to share my screen. So momentarily you are going to see see a cascade effect, but don't worry about it. I'm just going to get out of that fairly quickly. All right, so I'm on my tiler here. So what I'm going to do now is, I think I have already set up, I haven't set up, but that's okay. And so here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a panorama and do tiling. So to do that, what you do is you go here, you pick up an image that you want to tile. I'm just going to take a small panorama because it's not really. All right, so let me pick this panorama. So the next step is it generates out a thumbnail for you. Here you can verify it. Here also you get to name the panorama the way you want. This is a panorama by David. So I don't think I've named it correctly, but bear with me on this. So this name is important because this name you get to see when you after you import it into WalkInto also. So in this step, what we have done so far is we downloaded the software, we got it running on your respective machines. So we just showed how it is run on Windows, Mac, and here on my Linux machine it is running right now. And on the Linux machine, I'm just going to be doing the tiling. So this is the image processing part. So when I start the tiling process, you see a progress and it runs through and it finally told me that where the files are created. So I'm just going to go there and make sure that these files are there. Home movie, there's a folder called tiles. Yeah, so there you go. So this is the file that the folder that we just created, and here it is all set up correctly. So what we have done is we just so I'm just going to rename this folder. I mean, it's just not required. I'm just renaming it so that I can identify it later. All right. So, okay, so this step is done. So what we see here is we see a bunch of folders and files and the thumbnail image and everything inside it. Don't change anything. Just don't change anything. So now we are done with the tiler. If you want to go back and process another image, you can just go do that. Currently, we do not have a batch processing support, which we plan to add in the near future. Okay, I'm just going to exit out of this WalkInto tiler because we are done with that. So now, momentarily again, you will see a cascade, but okay, all right. So now what I'm going to do is the next step of our process. Let me share the screen back. So where are we? We download the software, we set up the preferences on tiler. So we tile the Panorama software, and the next step is hosting the tile folder on a web server. So now it can be any web server. The web server need to have certain configurations. Again, the documentation is extremely clear on that, and I'll be sharing the documentation on the side panel once again. And at this point, let me remind you that there is a Q&A option that is available for us. So you can use the Q&A from the side panel. So on the right top of the Hangout window, you'll see a bunch of boxes and it's a grid. So when you click on that grid, you can activate the Q&A panel, and any questions that you have, please feel free to type in there. We will take that question in the middle. All right. So next, what I'm going to do is this folder that we have just created, we are going to move it over to a web server. So for this demonstration purpose, we are using Amazon Web Services, and Amazon Web Services specifically, we are using S3. Amazon S3. Why we are choosing to use Amazon S3 is it is extremely easy to set up. It is extremely reliable. It is cheap. It is very cheap. The ability for it to connect into a content delivery network, global content delivery network, which is its own proprietary information that's available is a cloud front. So that is there. So you can host the panorama then you can configure it, you can connect it into a CDN. So all these features that you get at a much lower total cost of ownership than managing your own server. So that's why like we highly recommend using S3. So I'm not going to cover the parts of how to join and set up your Amazon Web Service account. The links again is part of our help documentation, which you will see here. Let me just show that. So in our help desk, let me. So here, if you go here, the setup and configure Amazon S3 bucket. So everything that we are going to show now is already covered here. Okay. So I'm going to quickly show the steps. So when you launch S3, S3 is a file storage. So there is a particular syntactical things, but since everything is UI, it is easy to manage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new bucket. I can give it a name. So here the region preference is up to you. Where your most users are, you can pick that. And for the demo purpose, I'm just going to give it as Singapore itself. So now we have created the bucket. The next step for us is to set up a few bucket policies and course configuration. Why it is important, I'll come to it later. So I'm just going to take the information right out of our here. So here we are talking about setting up our policy. I'm just going to copy this policy over, add bucket policy, paste it here. So here I need to replace this. So here you see a string. Replace this with your bucket name. That I'm just going to do. The bucket name is right here. Just walk into demo. I'm going to copy it as is. Removed it, pasted it back. So now it looks good. Save. It said it's all right. The next is course. What course gives you is so now this our files are going to be hosted out of this S3 location, and we need to give the permission for other people to see it. So for other people, other applications to see it, you need to specify something called course configuration here. There is absolutely no security issues with that, so you just need to go ahead and like do that. You can please do your own research to understand about course better. The course configuration that we require, that's also part of the documentation. I'm just going to use it as is. Let's see. Okay. And just for good measure, I just click save here. And at this point, we are all done as far as setting up the bucket is concerned. So this is called an S3 bucket, and we have an S3 bucket which is empty right now. The next step is to upload a few files that we have just created. So I'm just going to bring up this upload folder, and need to get that folder that we just used, and then drag and drop it here, and it has come up here. This is the Pano demo US Australia. It's about 2 point. So it's a slow upload. So I'm just for the interest of time, I'm just going to skip the full upload. You click on start upload, and it will do the whole uploading. So let it happen there. It's going to take some time. We'll come back to it later, but I think we can proceed with this. So now you can see that the folder is getting created, and everything else is happening. So I have another bucket that I have set up here for this demo, which I'm going to use now. So now the next step in our process is we spoke about very briefly about what course is and why course is important. We covered that part. Next step for us is to import the panorama into WalkInto and create a tool. That's a fun part, right? So this we get back to a familiar territory to WalkInto, login. All right, I'll just create a new tool. So now you'll see that there is a new icon here, apart from our usual import links that is available here. You have a custom icon. So when you bring that up, you have an option to like plug in a Pano folder URL. So this Pano folder URL we can take right out of here. Now, so this is the earlier created Pano folder. So the technique that I usually use is I just right click on this thumbnail.jpg and open it up here and click on this. So that will just give me a confirmation that everything is loaded correctly. So from here at from this end till the last slash, I copy the whole thing over. So Control C. The slash thumbnail.jpg I can just skip because that's not what WalkInto needs. If we copy it over, WalkInto will tell you that it is not not all good. So that's what WalkInto does. Now get back to WalkInto and paste that URL that we just copied and click import. So WalkInto processed that request that you gave. It got the name that we had given it. So this is an earlier panorama. I'm just going to call it US demo Pano 1, and the thumbnail has come over. So currently a registration has happened. So if there is a GPS EXIF information that is available for this Pano, it will be picked up and processed. I don't think it is there for this image yet. So I'm just going to put it somewhere reasonable. So you can of course you can search it. You can search and go to a particular place and put it where you want to. So that's all there, and you can click save. So the location information is saved. So that's also important. And one thing that you will see is that all the panorama that I have imported in the past, I get to see here, and I can actually copy the its information over. Everything is available for me here in a browser. It's an easy to filter mechanism, so I can very easily filter it out. I can sort it by date, sort it by name. These are all typical, very standard things that you would expect to see in any on WalkInto actually. So you select the Pano that you want and you click on Open Editor. There will be a little bit of delay because obviously the image is not coming over from the Google servers anymore. Image is coming over from your own hosting. So any difference in speed, any performance issues that you see, it's all purely on how fast your server is. So the control is completely with you. And I will tell you briefly about how to connect your panorama to a CDN, your S3 bucket to a CDN, content delivery network, which will tremendously speed up your process. So now we have imported this panorama. I'm just going to call this the name. Once it is imported in, everything is as you are familiar with in WalkInto. Alright, now I have a few more panorama imported over, but anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add to it another pano which is not a Google pano, no, which is not a custom pano, but a panorama from Google. Let me just add it. And also to just so that like we are sure of this, we're going to do is we are just going to pick up some photospheres or scene sites if anything is available in the game, right? I think it's better luck. We go to some city. All right, so there is a pixel case photosphere here. I'm just going to open that up. And just since like we're going so good, I'm just going to push my luck and add another panorama in. So this is a panorama that a WalkInto user was testing. So good thing is that this feature was out for more than a week now for beta testing with some users. And yesterday, since we released the feature, many people have already used it. So we are fairly confident that it works well. So it's like maybe he has removed it. So I think this should open up. So this is another panorama that is hosted. Some of you must have seen it as part of our demo. So what I'm showing is like this very easy to add. So now let's see as to how all these things comes up in the tool. So comes up nicely. Not as much fidelity as we would see. So navigating between different things works well, and you can add a logo or any types of tool card, whatever you want, you can add that. I'm not going to go into the details of setting up much more than what's required. So you can add tool cards, you can add a floor plan if you want to, if that makes sense to you, add a logo if it wants. I'm just going to pick something, just hold on. So you can add a floor plan that works well. You can add a point to it and say that this is what you want. So everything is possible. There's absolutely no feature incompatibility as such. Now let's just take a look back as to whether the panel that we were uploading it's completed. So if it is, then we can get that also in. Oh no, it is still uploading. It's a very slow process. So now while we are here, let me just show you so we followed this particular article, and where this came from, we have articles on setting up the S3 bucket and uploading folders on S3 bucket and Amazon CloudFront CDN. So this is a CDN you can access from here. So here, if you go a little bit down, you will see a CloudFront, and in this CloudFront, you can basically you can create a distribution and you can connect it into one of your S3 buckets. And once it is done, you can use the CloudFront CDN URL. So there's a little bit of complexity that we are getting into here, so you don't need to worry about it because it is very easily, very well covered. The reason why you should choose to use a CDN is more important. The reason is that, say your viewers, your audience is global, you want to make sure that the panorama reaches them with the same speed as the other Google Street View panorama reaches. The way to ensure that happens is to use a CDN. A CDN will give you the full ability to make sure that the different copies of your panorama files exist in different geographic locations, and from whichever part of the world the user is coming in to see you or to, the closest geographic location will serve those files. This will make sure that the files reaches faster than getting served from the S3 bucket. S3, while it is great, the only drawback of flip side of S3 is that it is slow. The serving is slow. So the way to counter that and the way to speed that up is to add a CloudFront CDN to it. Now CloudFront is not as cheap as S3 is, but still for a normal usage, what we would estimate is with about 2,000 panos hosted off S3, your monthly bill will be about $20 or so from Amazon. And we don't have anything to do with Amazon, so you will directly be paying from your credit card to Amazon, whatever is the monthly invoice that Amazon charges you. A good thing is that Amazon has provided a very nice cost calculator, which is also linked in our help article, that you can use to kind of figure out how much it's going to cost you, estimate and figure it out. You can just know what size is. So here, for example, if you look at the total folder, the folder that we just created, it's a nice panorama, it's a big panorama, and it's about 5.4 MB of compressed images that's getting uploaded. So we make it a really small size file to ensure that the saving of space happens. All right, so that is a brief demo of this feature. So now I would like to get out of this screen sharing and demo mode. I want to see whether there are any questions that I can answer. All right. So any questions that you have, please feel free to put it on the side panel. We will be able to answer that. So the side panel once again is on your right top. On your right top, you will see a grid, and when you click on the grid, you can pull it down and you can activate the Q&A panel, and from there you can add the questions. All right. Hope this was useful to you, and we have covered. So what we have covered so far is, let me just do a screen share once again. So what we covered is, so we talked about how to download the WalkInto tiler that you get from panohost.in, and set up preferences, installing and setting up preferences on WalkInto tiler. We demoed it on Windows, Mac, and Linux, and we showed how Panorama is to be selected and how it is to be tiled using the WalkInto tiler software. Then we showed how to create and set up a AWS S3 bucket to host your Panorama. Then we uploaded the Panorama to the S3 bucket, and the S3 bucket, to upload to S3 bucket, you have actually different client software that you can use, which we have shared on the documentation as well. Import Panorama into WalkInto and start using it in just like any other feature that you would. All right, so that's pretty much it. So I think like I'm getting a few questions, so let me take those. Dennis really liked it. Great, thank you. Hi Stephen, I know that you are having some trouble with setting up of your S3 bucket. I saw a few mails coming to me, like, because the morning was a little bit of rush, I couldn't get to all of them, but I was able to import in a Panorama that you were having trouble with. So I think it is some very trivial URL copy paste issue which we can resolve later. Anything specific other than this, please? Okay, Stephen wants me to go over the CloudFront once again. I will do that. Richard asked whether we can use KR-Pano tiler. We cannot use KR-Pano tiler yet. We would love to use KR-Pano tiler. So we have designed this whole system in such a way that ability to import in something from 360 cities or KR-Pano tiler should be possible. So that is in the horizon for us. We wanted to get this feature out with a in a state where we can support it. So right now it is WalkInto tiler and WalkInto tile format. We did ask 360 cities whether they can help us with the hosting plan. Unfortunately, those guys were extremely busy with their 360 video gig, so they were unable to do that. Okay, so it might be in the future. All right, Stephen, let me show that once again. Okay. So Amazon CloudFront. So creating a distribution is very simple and straightforward. You come here and you select this, get origin name. So this here you pick the S3 bucket that you want. So I'm just going to pick the S3 bucket that we just use here, WalkInto demo S3 software. And you don't need to specify anything else. Everything else is okay. And here when you come down, use all edge locations, best performance. So this is the costliest option, but this is the best performing option. So and then you just click create distribution. So that will create a distribution, and you'll get a line here. It will take a little bit of time for the whole thing to come up, but once it is set up, what you do is you just copy this. So you take this part as your main URL part. Okay, so this is your main URL and slash your Pano folder name. So that will take care of. Let me show you this how it is done. So I'm just going to take this one. So I'm just going to copy it. This is connected to Pano host. So let me make a folder here slash. So Now I need to find out what is a correct folder name. I'm just going to get back to S3 for 1 second. So here I have a few panorama tiles that we were using earlier. So test pano new. So this is correct folder. So here I have okay, good. Slash. I'm just going to test this. So now we are using the CloudFront URL. Pano test pano new, that CloudFront.jpg. JPEG, sorry, I just mistyped it. Okay. JPEG, okay, so this is good. So let me quickly show how to use the CloudFront for importing also. I just copied this folder back once again. I'm getting back to my custom panel. I'm going to import pano, paste the URL here. Again, please note that there is no leading slash, there is no slash thumbnail.jpg, there's no metadata.json, nothing there. It is the ends with a plain. I'm just going to zoom it in a bit. So it is this way. So you can see that this is the URL format. It ends here. It doesn't end with a slash something. Okay. Do that and click import. I should be seeing the thumbnail, and I can set the. So yeah. So this is an example of an image with EXIF data. So it's coming up nicely. It's great. And I can directly click open an editor from here. It should open it up nicely for me. It is one of the clumsiest panos. My fault, I created it. I'm just going to audit something. So that is for Stephen. That is a demo of how to import in something from using CloudFront. Any specific questions, like, please add in. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks a lot. Glad you liked it. All right. So, any more questions that you have? Any of you have? Please feel free to add an entry into our help desk. So it is right here. Where is it? WalkInto.freshdesk.com. Everybody knows that. Everybody is very good at putting in all the tickets. So here, come in and put in a ticket. You have all the articles that you need to get going, which is available here. The WalkInto Tyler specific information. I'm just going to share this also to our side panel where we are having the hangout. All right, so I'm just going to add this to our what's it called? Gallery apps. Okay, so this is Tyler information. And if what you need is the Panorama hosting information, that is here. Somehow I'm unable to get that, but you got the idea. Thank you. Dennis ported a few errors in Mac setup. Please send it as a ticket to the WalkInto help desk. It is walkinto.freshdesk.com, and please open a ticket. Please attach the screenshot, so the description, so that Kulpreet can take a look at it and give you the right solution. Okay, it works. Don't worry about it. It will work perfectly well. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed it. Of course, the recording is available. And for any more questions, like, you can feel free to reach out to me on an email. Is Amazon Cloud already configured correctly? Richard asked. The course requirement. Amazon. So that is covered in the help desk article. We have a small XML snippet to paste into the right location, but that everything that you need to set up the Amazon S3 correctly is there. Amazon CloudFront is something that is running off the S3 bucket. So CloudFront, you don't need to set up S3 the course at all. If your S3 bucket support course, the CloudFront also support course. Thanks for joining, Stacy. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining. Bye. You have a good day. Good night. Bye bye.